In a move that shocked absolutely no one, Los Angeles County has extended their eviction moratorium for another 2 months. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I don't want to be that guy, but I told you this was going to happen, okay? Los Angeles County has decided to once again extend their eviction moratorium for another couple of months. And you know what? When those 2 months are over, I wouldn't be surprised if they decide to extend it again and again and again. And they're going to drag this thing out for as long as possible, okay? They have no clue how to end this thing because they know the second that they end it, all of a sudden, you know what? They're people are going to get evicted, and they're afraid of that happening. So I reported just yesterday that the city of Los Angeles, has put into place all these, super strong tenant protections so that when their eviction moratorium comes to an end on January 31st, then basically there's going to be a permanent eviction moratorium within the city of Los Angeles. Now we're talking about Los Angeles County. So there's places in LA County such as Long Beach and, I can't even name all the places, but basically places outside of the city of LA, and they're going to be covered by this Los Angeles County eviction moratorium for another 2 months. So what are landlords there supposed to do? I don't think that this is a good thing. I think that basically there's a lot of tenants who are taking advantage of the situation. They're trying to drag this out as long as possible so that they don't have to pay rent. Now, they say that they're going to be, helping out the landlords who have to deal with these problems. But you know what? We don't need a situation where the government is paying people's rent for them or forcing landlords to pay people's rent. Okay? We don't need that sort of situation. We need people to pay their own rent. Okay? We are not a socialist country. We do not need people who are 100% dependent on other people to pay all of their bills for them. And so when a person is taking advantage of the system, what they're doing is they're saying, I'm facing too much hardship, I can't pay my bills. And meanwhile, they're spending the money that they actually have on other stuff that they don't need. That's complete garbage, cop-out, idiotic nonsense. And you know what? It creates people who are lazy. Okay? It creates lazy people who aren't willing to pay for and take care of themselves. And I don't want to see it, okay? So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like and subscribe button, leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? Now, I reported on December the 24th, okay? That was just about a month ago, that I didn't think for 1 second that Los Angeles County was going to allow their eviction moratorium to end on January the 31st. Now, I was right. I called it, right? Now, do you believe, they extended it for another 2 months. Do you believe that after these 2 months, they're actually going to let it end then? Okay, I don't. Okay, I think this thing is going to be going on. It's going to be dragged on for as long as possible. Maybe the only thing that will end it is legal action by landlords. That's possibly the only way they're going to ever see an end to this, because they, for some reason, think that every other business is back to normal, but no, people are still suffering through the pandemic. No, that's garbage. It's a cop-out argument because you wanted to implement a bunch of socialist programs and you're using it as an excuse. So, I am fired up, okay? So let's get into this article. This article is coming from LAist.com, and it says, in last-minute vote, LA County leaders approve a 2-month extension of COVID renter protections. Yeah, not surprised at all. They waited till the last week of the month of January to throw these, extensions in there. So let's get into the article. With just 1 week left until pandemic-era eviction rules were set to expire, the LA County Board of Supervisors voted Tuesday to extend COVID-19 renter protections for another 2 months. Low-income tenants across LA County who can't pay rent due to hardships brought on by the pandemic were scheduled to lose eviction protections after January 31st. The expiration could have left an estimated 226,000 households in the region with past due rent vulnerable to eviction if they couldn't pay February rent on time. Oh my God, people who couldn't pay rent on time might face eviction. Well, that's the way the system is supposed to work, okay? Do they not understand that the system's not supposed to work where, well, if a person can't pay their rent, they should be allowed to stay indefinitely? No, no. That's idiotic, okay? If you don't pay your electric bill, you notice the electric company will turn your power off, okay? If you don't pay for your food, you can't have any food. You're just starving, I guess. So why are landlords put in this special category where all of a sudden we have to accept the loss and just put up with the fact that these tenants can't pay their bills? Okay, that's wrong. These tenants are doing it wrong. This has been going on for over 3 years at this point, and they will drag it on forever. They will, you know what, the hardship for them never ends. That's the one thing that I notice, right? For these people, the hardship never ends, okay? If you lost your job 3 years ago, back in March of 2020, and you still don't have a job, if you're still facing hardship 3 years later, well, it's never going to end for you. And you need to face the fact that we need to move on. Landlords need their properties back. The extension, approved Tuesday evening after a lengthy public comment period, will keep those pandemic-related eviction safeguards in place through March 31st. For many individuals who are still struggling, homelessness is unfortunately a next potential step if we don't take further action, Supervisor Lindsay Horvath said. Supervisors Hilda Solis and Horvath had originally proposed extending the protections through June 30th, but they reached a compromise with Supervisor Janice Hahn, who wanted to sunset the rule sooner. In the final vote, Horvath, Solis, and Hahn voted in favor of the 2-month extension. Supervisors Catherine Barger voted against it, and Supervisor Holly Mitchell abstained. Why is there only one person on the whole city council or the county commission or whatever it is that voted against it? Because these people are bowing down to the pressures from these tenants because they're afraid they're going to get voted out of office. It has nothing to do with what is actually necessary for this, economy and for what's best for the city and what's best for the county. The only thing it has to do with is, I'm worried I'm going to lose my election. Well, these people are idiots, okay? If it was you and you were working at a job and they said, well, for the next 3 years, you're not going to get paid, how would you feel about that? Okay, that's essentially what they're doing to landlords. These are businesses that are owned by people that they live off of the income that comes in, and you are taking that away from them, and that is wrong. The extension represents an abrupt shift. County leaders had initially planned to end COVID-19 eviction protections after December 2022. But supervisors approved a 1-month extension to the end of January 2023 due to a respiratory illness trifecta involving COVID-19, seasonal flu, and RSV. See, yeah, they made up that BS excuse saying, oh, we need to extend it because the flu and RSV. Listen, the flu and RSV have been a problem since the beginning of freaking time, okay? So as soon as humans started existing, we've been suffering from the flu and RSV. So don't give me that garbage, right? You're using that as an excuse so that you could extend it for another month. You knew that at the end of that month you would extend it again, and you know that after the next 2 months, on March 31st, when it's set to expire, you're going to extend it again. And that is my problem, right? I told you a long time ago that some of these communities, some of these politicians, these far left-leaning politicians are going to try to extend this thing forever. They want it to never end. They want landlords, they consider all landlords rich, greedy, and selfish. Well, you know what? It's the tenants, the ones who are taking advantage of this situation. They're the ones who are rich, greedy, and selfish. They're the ones who need to be kicked to the curb. And they're talking about this is going to cause a problem with homelessness. Well, after 3 years of not paying rent, you should have been able to save up a few dollars to afford your rent. Okay? So don't give me that garbage. This is nonsense, and I'm sick of it. Hahn was reluctant to support an extension, saying, there's a sense, particularly from our landlords, that they're looking for honesty and transparency from us. When we said the last extension was the last, and then we're extending it another 6 months, that's what I have an issue with. Well, you still voted for it, okay? You admit that you lied to those landlords. You lied to the landlords when you said the last extension, the one in December, the one that I made a video on, you said that was going to be the last one. You lied. When you extended this thing another 2 months, now the landlords know that you're not trustworthy. You're full of crap. You're not even worth wasting our time on or our breath. So this is my suggestion to landlords. If you own a single family home in Los Angeles County or the city of Los Angeles, right? Sell that place. Sell it to an owner occupant. Take those rentals off the market. The number of rentals in Los Angeles will decline, and that is their fault. They don't allow building. They don't want people to be able to rent their properties out. The only thing they care about is getting their votes, right? Even if it means that it's worse for affordable housing, it's worse for homelessness, and it's bad for business owners who are just trying to make a living. So, yeah, this is the end result, right? We have an eviction moratorium that has lasted for 3 years, and there's no end in sight. So, are you surprised? I certainly am not. So they need to end this eviction moratorium as soon as possible. They do not need to extend it till June of next year. See, you notice in the article, they're already talking about extending it beyond January 31st for another 5 months, all the way until June. You know, that's why I said when I asked earlier, do you believe that it's actually going to end on January 31st? And I said I don't. Okay, I know how this stuff works.